Hey, I'm Kev Kerr, Mr. Khan. Welcome to Power Oversteer, the real motorsport show on the ElusiveKev channel. And yes, I'm a bit exposed today. I've just run out of printer ink, so I don't have that thing there, unfortunately. But you can see where I place my mic now, and it's nicely over there. And hopefully you can hear me fine and clear. So in today's Power Oversteer, we are previewing the Sao Paulo Indy 300 event on the streets of Sao Paulo in Brazil, the fourth round of the 2013 Indycar Series season. And the first three rounds, well, they've been chaotic, they've been dramatic, and they've been very close at the front. We've seen two first-time winners in the series, such as James Hinchcliffe on the streets of St. Petersburg in the opening round of the season, and the last time out Takuma Sato on the streets of Long Beach. In between that, we have seen the reigning champion Ryan Hunter-Reay win at Barber Motorsports Park in Alabama, but the championship has been very close. Harry Kashinev leads it on 99 points from Takuma Sato on 93. We also see the likes of Marco Andretti and the reigning champion right up there, but we don't see Will Power right up there. He's down in 8th. We see Dario Franchitti in the 20s, even further back after a terrible start to the season, but good signs of progress in Long Beach. And that's what teams want from this weekend as well, signs of progress to lead them into the big one, the first over on the calendar and the biggest race on the calendar, the Indianapolis 500 at the end of May, because that is what they're going to go to next. There's going to be a few weeks of intense testing before the big race and qualifying as well. And the news in the IndyCar series has been mixed. We've seen Pip Eman confirmed for that Indianapolis 500. The English driver is confirmed in the Dale Coyne seat alongside fellow English driver Justin Wilson. It will be her third Indianapolis 500, if I recall correctly. And on the other side of the fence, unfortunately, we might see the end of Dreyer and Reinbold racing from this series, and Oriol Servia alongside that. The Spanish driver, he's with the Panther Dreyer and Reinbold racing machine in that 22 car, and unfortunately it seems like they're short of sponsorship from after the Indianapolis 500. So unless they raise sponsors before the end of this month, it doesn't look like they will continue in the series. Unfortunately, it looks like Serbia will be looking for a ride as well, unfortunately. So yeah, hopefully they do find sponsorship and do continue. But that's a bit of a news. Let's go on to some track facts now. So the Sao Paulo Indy 300, as I said, it's held on a street circuit in the middle of Sao Paulo in Brazil. It was previously the season opener in 2010, and it's been on the calendar since then for 3 years as well. But there's only been one winner around these streets, Will Power in the Penske machine. He's dominated this race in 2010, 2011 and in 2012, closely beating Ryan Hunter-Reay at the last. And the circuit is located in actually the birthplace of Ayrton Senna, and it is 11 turns. It looks like a circuit that you wouldn't expect much overtaking on. It's got a couple of 90-degree turns. It's got a tight chicane at the beginning of the lap and a tight hairpin to end it, but there's a long back straight from between turns 10 and 11, and that's where you get the passing done. And then there's a front straight from turns 11 to 1, and is actually one of the most popular circuits on the calendar, along with Baltimore. I don't understand how looking at that layout you wouldn't expect much overtaking, but just like this, there it is. And so this race in Brazil, as I said, dominated by Will Power. He's got the lap record round here, 1:21.4, I believe that says. Got to get the glasses a bit shinier, but yeah, this race has kind of had a tough history as well, because rain has been here for the past 3 years. Rain has always been here. In 2010, the race got shortened due to rain, due to the 2-hour limit it has in IndyCar as well as it does in F1. 2011, it was actually postponed to the Monday after only doing 18 laps on the or 15 laps, sorry, on the Sunday, and so the race got shortened on the Monday as well due to the out of time limit and due to rain as well. But last year, as I said, we saw Will Power win from Ryan Hunter-Reay and Takuma Sato, who made a great move in the last knockings of the race to grab third place in the Ray Hall Letterman machine as it was last year. But this year, of course, in the AJ Foyt machine. And so, yeah, that is the Sao Paulo street circuit, 11 turns, and each 11 turns is pretty vital to getting a fast lap round here, and of course Will Power has mastered it. So let's talk about some predictions now. So predictions for this race, well, you might as well just put them in a hat and pull them out, all the names of the drivers, because it's so close this year, and this is such an unpredictable race. Even though I said the only constant has been Will Power in that Penske machine, but as I said, that each event has gone to that 2-hour time limit, and there's been rain each year, and so it's really tough to see who's gonna just survive the chaos basically. And again, Power has to be the favourite. As I said, he's won each year. He's been very unlucky though this year in Long Beach. You know, bad luck on the pit stop, and in St. Petersburg, bad luck by being hit under the safety car, and in Barber, you know, actually his two-stop strategy kind of worked out and he got in the top 5, but he hasn't won in over a year now. That's quite amazing to think Will Power hasn't won in over a year, especially considering last year where most of the courses were road and street courses where you expect him to do really well, but it just didn't work out for him, especially on the ovals as well. And as we saw in Fontana in the finale, where he crashed out again in the finale of the season. But yeah, I think Will Power's got to be a favourite, along with Harry Castroneves. You know, the Brazilian driver, his home race, you know, that home crowd. You know, never underestimate how much a home crowd behind you can, you know, really motivate you, as you saw with such as Senna, you know, in Brazil in the early 90s. So yeah, and for Castroneves to be right up there, of course, series leader as well. He's got a lead to protect to go into the Indy 500, where he always does really well, him and Penske, and of course he's a multiple time winner there in the past. So yeah, look out for those two Penske boys. So who else to look out for? Of course, Takuma Sato in the AJ Foyt machine, won the last time out, and as I said last year, he got a podium here after a great move on Castroneves and Franchitti at the restart into that tight turn 1 and 2 chicane. So yeah, look out for Sato to continue that good form going into the Indy 500, which he almost won last year on the last lap, making a move on Franchitti that didn't work out, ended up with him into the wall. But yeah, look out for Sato. So those are 3 contenders. We also got Justin Wilson in the Delcon machine. Always look out for him, of course. He's always great on these street courses, as he proved last time out in Long Beach, getting into the top 5 from the very back of the grid. So yeah, look out for Justin Wilson, and maybe Oil Serbia to maybe help get some sponsors for that car of his, for that team of his. He did a great job last time out, finished in 6th, and he's always been Mr. Consistent. He's always running up there, and so look out for him to be right up there. Serbia, and the guy he collided with last time out, Tony Kanaan in the KV Racing machine. KV Racing have looked very good at the beginning of this year, despite, you know, qualifying not quite going to plan at stages such as in Long Beach. But him and Simona Di Silvestro, they've been a very good pairing so far, it seems, and look for either of them to be up there in the top 10, maybe even the top 5 for Kanaan as well. You know, another home race for him as well. And then we've got Andretti. We haven't even talked about Andretti in predictions, have we? But yeah, well, look at for all of their drivers. They've all done a very good job on street courses so far. And in, you know, EJ Viso, former teammate of Sato at KV Racing, former HVM driver, he's looked very mature this year. Hasn't made any mistakes. Of course, got taken out by James Hinchcliffe last time out, but he's looked very mature this year, and it's been a mature process, taken a few years, but it looks like he's not making as many mistakes, and of course ran well here last year if I recall correctly. So yeah, look for Visa to get maybe a top 10. Hinchcliffe to bounce back from that mistake in Long Beach as well. Of course, he won the first race of this season. He's expected to be up there now. He's not expected to make those silly mistakes like in Long Beach. So look for him to bounce back before the Indy 500, where he did very well last year. Ryan Hunter-Reay as well came second last year. Look for the defending champion of the series to do very well. And then there's Marco Andretti. He's getting results. He's shown a different side to him this year, it seems. He's been very good in his first few races. He's up in 4th in the championship. As I said last time out, he's in the Power Oversteer for Indycar. I've never seen him that high up in the championship, I think. So yeah, no, for Marco to grind out another top 10 result, I think. So we haven't talked about Chip Ganassi boys either, have we? Dario Franchitti for an encouraging result last time out, and look for him to be right up there. As I say, he was right up there last year, so don't expect him to drop down. And Scott Dixon just outside the top 10 after kind of fallen victim to Tristan Volce in the early laps, and it was a very good recovery drive. But Scott Dixon, he shows solid. He just grinds out results as well, and yeah, you expect him to be up there in the top 10. I think I said more 10 drivers now to be up there in the top 10. But dark horses, we've got Tristan Volce and Simon Pagenaud in the Smith Peterson Hamilton HP Motorsports machines. I will get that right one time. But yeah, they've looked very solid at the beginning of the year. Pagenaud getting a good result last time out, and getting a good result in Barber, and Volce's been very fast at these first 3 races, and even faster than Pagenaud, but has made mistakes. So maybe he'll make another mistake. He'll be fast but make mistakes, as he is a rookie in the series. He's the only rookie, but hopefully that will go out of his system as the year goes on, a bit like Esteban Gutierrez in F1 in Sauber. He's making lots of mistakes, but hopefully that will go out of his system as the year goes on. And then the other dark horse, Joseph Newgarden in the Sarah Fisher Hartman racing machine. He got the fastest lap here actually last year before retiring due to some contact, but due to that mess where after Sato passed in the midfield, they kind of concertina effect, so they all ran into each other basically. About 8 cars did, but he's come off a very good start to the year. He's got his top 10 in Barber, and expect him to do really well. I think he will maybe just sneak the top 10 or be around that top 10 mark, maybe even top 5 if he really hooks it up. But look out for Joseph Newgarden in that Sarah Fisher Hartman racing machine before he goes to the Indy 500. Great qualifying he had there last year. So yeah, all the teams, all the drivers looking for some momentum before going to the big one at Indy, and it's going to be an intriguing weekend. And of course, you can find good places to watch it on the internet. But yeah, that is my preview of the Sao Paulo Indy 300. I hope you have enjoyed it. Of course, I'll be back with a review of it next week. So salamat for watching. So till next time, cheerio. So I recorded this today on the 1st of May, and I hope to have it up on the 1st of May as well. And today is an important day in Formula 1 history. I know this is an IndyCar preview you've just watched, but it's kind of a big day to not miss out on. And 19 years ago, sadly, the sport lost one of its biggest stars and one of its best drivers in its history in Ayrton Senna, and the day before that they lost one of its newest drivers and one of the guys who had just worked really hard to get to where he wanted to be, which was on the Formula 1 grid, and he finally did it. And sadly, Rowan Ratzenberger lost his life in qualifying in the Simtech. And we often talk about eras in it. I mean, we have it on the calendar, BC and AD. We're in 2013 AD. Well, in Formula 1, it's pre-Imola 94 and post-Imola 94. And since Imola, we've been living in a shadow. We've been living in that shadow for 19 years, and that shadow has caused some great changes and not some great changes, but its main changes have been to safety. And Sid Watkins, Bernie Ecclestone, and the much maligned Max Mosley, probably his greatest legacy as FIA president, they've worked on improving safety in Formula 1. We've seen it all around the world, and there's more people we can thank than we know, but the figureheads are those three guys for this crusade to stamp out basically injuries in F1, basically, or at least death in F1. And thankfully there's not been a death in F1 for 12 years now, and we have to thank those three guys, and then the guys below them, and the guys below that, and all the companies that research, all the companies that come up with new composites and new materials, the crash testing, the circuit safety, circuit design, changes to that, and seeing these car park runoffs, you may not like them, but they replace gravel tracks. They have a good solid foundation of a purpose, even if we do not like seeing them around the track, but they're there for a reason. The new Tech Pro tyres, which have of course really helped Sergio Perez at that spot where Cole Vendinger, just 2 weeks after him, had a horrendous accident and was in a coma for weeks after that. Well, thankfully he survived and he came back and he does GT racing, but that weekend in Imola really did, start and change F1, and it kind of coincided with F1 becoming this global platform of motorsport, becoming one of the biggest events in the world, even with only, I think it's the Olympics, then the World Cups, football World Cups they quote as only the more watched, viewed or more viewed events than in F1 season. It's quite incredible to think that, and when you see one of your biggest stars go on the TV screen, such as on the 1st of May 1994, that's not a good image for the sport. The sport has fought back. The sport has learnt from that, and that's the most important thing. The sport has learnt from what happened in Imola and also what happened in Monaco with England. But it was a bit late for those guys, sadly. There were warning signs in early '94 once electronics got banned. The cars were much, much trickier. I mean, the cars were designed with electronics in mind. And so when they got banned, you saw how unstable they were in '94, and we've seen big accidents before then, such as JJ Leto at Silverstone, broke his back. Was never quite the same driver since. We saw John Alesi get a broken neck in his Ferrari as well. That's why Nicola Larini was in this Ferrari at that Imola weekend. And so there were warning signs, but the sport got complacent. There hadn't been a fatality to a driver in 8 years since Elio De Angelis in the Brabham at Paul Ricard, or at the race weekend since Riccardo Paletti in Canada in '82, or Gilles Villeneuve in the same year at Zolder. And so the sport got complacent, and it only learnt its lessons after that weekend. And so today's not just to celebrate, honour those men who lost those lives that weekend, but reminders of F1 to not get complacent in the way of safety, and they can't afford to get complacent because we know what will happen. And we've had our close calls in those years since '94. Lost Verstappen in Spa '96, was almost knocked unconscious, but because of the raised cockpit sides, he survived a big crash at Stabilo. Of course, we saw Olivier Paris in '97 break both his legs at Canada. Michael Schumacher at Silverstone in '99. And then more recently, we've seen Robert Kubica at Canada in 2007. We've seen Mark Webber at Valencia in 2010. And of course, we've seen cars go over cockpits, and we saw Coulthard and Wirtz do that in Australia 2007. We saw it at Spa last year at the start. But the biggest escape for Felipe Massa at Hungary 2009, when a spring came off the back of Rubens Barrichello's car and unfortunately hit his helmet. But his helmet's strong enough. It was all those years of research and learning from the helmet manufacturers since him in the 94 that helped save Felipe Massa's life there. And this is coming just a few days after, or a week after, Henry Surtees, the son of John Surtees, only world champion on 2 wheels and 4 wheels. His son unfortunately died in an accident at Brands Hatch when his head was hit by a wheel. And so I hope that other sports do follow Formula 1. We have seen huge accidents in rallying and IndyCar and NASCAR recently. I mean, IndyCar's last fatality was Dan Weldon in 2011. NASCAR's was Dale Earnhardt in 2001. They also have that effect of pre-Earnhardt and post-Earnhardt. Ryan's an anomaly because they're open to the elements, they're open to trees, the barriers, and we saw Robert Kubica have a bad accident in 2011. And unfortunately last year, Gareth Roberts, the co-driver of Craig Breen, was killed at the Targa Florio Intercontinental Challenge Rally. And so there are reminders that throughout the motorsport world to F1 to not get complacent. I hope F1 doesn't, and that's why 1st of May is also very important to. It's just a reminder to F1 that it's been 19 years, you've had close calls, just work on improving safety and work on making these drivers almost bulletproof. And it's a great testament to what has happened since 94 that when we see a big crash, we expect drivers to walk away, such as Webber and Valencia, and that is great to see. And it's great to see other motorsports such as NASCAR. They really had a wake-up call when Dale Earnhardt died, just like Senna, and so they really did improve safety. And you see big crashes like at Daytona, and they just walk away, drivers. And so let's celebrate 1st of May. Let's celebrate the lives of Senna, of Ratzenberger, and let's celebrate that safety. The battle has been won. That's all I can say. Death will always be a spectator. Just got to make sure he doesn't run onto the track.